I'll divorce you, such a useless poor one without money. Saying that, Matthew leaves a divorce notice and goes out. I stare blankly at the divorce notice while lying on a hospital bed. I had been suspicious for a long time. However, I never thought he was really cheating on me. Moreover, he impregnated her. Am I, who is hospitalized and unable to earn money, a useless person to be thrown away? Mom? I raised my eyes in surprise at the voice of my precious son, and there were Thomas and my father standing there. My father frowned as he looked at what I had. What are you going to do? That's already decided. I discharged myself from the hospital a little earlier than necessary and headed to the bank where Matthew was. My father, who drove me back and forth in the car, said "Do your best" to me and dropped me off in front of the bank before going somewhere else. If I enter the bank with those feet, I can see Matthew frowning when he notices me. Coincidentally, there are no other customers in front of Matthew. I approach Matthew straight ahead. I will cancel all employees' accounts. Huh? Now, let's make it clear who has angered whose daughter. I smiled wickedly in contrast to Matthew, who turned pale. My name is Margaret Diaz. I am 32 years old and a company executive. I am a mother of one child. I have a 7-year-old son named Thomas and a husband named Matthew. Matthew and I met at a matchmaking party hosted by mutual friends during our college years. At that time, we were not interested in each other and were only acquaintances who exchanged contact information. Oh. You're Margaret from the party, right? Yes, Matthew. The following year, we met again by chance when I used the bank where he worked. As a result, we started to keep in touch frequently and started dating. Then we got married because I became pregnant with Thomas. Matthew is famous for his serious and polite work ethic. Therefore, he was envied by his friends. I myself am glad that I could marry such a person. Mom, why is this like this? Wait a minute. I don't know much about it either, so I'll look it up now. Thomas is curious like Matthew and studies hard. He asks me every day why this is so and why that is so I'm studying every day too. Surprisingly, what Thomas admires is not Matthew but my father. My mother passed away due to illness, so my father raised me alone while working hard. Sorry, but I still don't like your father. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. Don't tell him that. He's quite concerned about it. There's no way I'm going to tell him. My father is a kind person but looks tough and scary. Matthew also dislikes my father's appearance. My father himself was concerned about it and tried not to interfere more than necessary. Therefore, we were able to lead a peaceful life at first. A smooth life. However, that changed as soon as we got married. Hey, where did you put my cell phone? Don't say it like that. Isn't it still charging? Matthew visits me early in the morning with an unhappy look on his face. Actually, Matthew's cell phone was still plugged into the charger when he went to bed last night. There was no apology or thanks for that fact, and I get more irritated by his clicking tongue than he does. Matthew changed after we got married. He always says things like, "I'm an elite banker. You can live without inconvenience because of me." However, Matthew doesn't put any money into the house or anything like that. Despite using his salary only for himself, he seems to think that he is supporting the house himself. In reality, it is me who supports our household finances. All utility bills and food expenses are paid by me. Hey, what's this new outfit? It's Thomas's clothes. They don't fit him anymore. Don't be extravagant with my money. I'm paying for it with my salary. I don't have your bank book. Despite this, he complains as soon as we go out to eat or buy new clothes on holidays. It seems that he doesn't like us being extravagant, no matter how small. On the other hand, my father is someone who doesn't spare money for us. This apartment is too small. So I bought the apartment that Matthew wanted to live in. I can be near you even if we don't live together. He bought the apartment with a smile like that and gave us the top floor as a gift. And in case of emergency, he lives on a different floor of the same apartment building. Mom, can I go to Grandpa's house? Sure. But don't stay too late just because it's the same apartment building. Come back before it gets dark. Okay. It may be natural for Thomas to be attached to his grandfather rather than his father, Matthew. If there is time, Thomas goes to his father. Where's Thomas? He's with his father. By the way, Matthew never complains to his father. And he seems to avoid telling Thomas to his father because he doesn't want to be told on. He's only tough with me. If it were me, I would keep my mouth shut so as not to cause trouble for my father. Well, if you're just going to complain, you can ignore it lightly. That's how I thought about it lightly. Because of that, Matthew doesn't participate in child rearing at all. Carol called me and I'm going out for a bit. Huh? Again? And Carol, Matthew's childhood friend, is taking away our child rearing time. I don't like her more than anything. Matthew and I are like siblings. So don't get the wrong idea. She says that every time she sees me. Despite that, she is trying to one-up that she knows more about Matthew than I do, so it's annoying. And my mother-in-law likes Carol too, which is also troublesome. Why didn't Matthew choose Carol instead of that woman? They should have married Carol. When I'm called to my parents' house, they say such things to me on purpose. Every time that happens, my father-in-law scolds them, but they don't seem to care. Carol is a self-proclaimed goofball. I'm a goofball, so I rely on Matthew. I don't mean to make Margaret uncomfortable. It would be okay if she were young. However, she is 28 years old and should consider her age. By the way, the reason why the two of them didn't get together was because of my father-in-law. I don't even want to call her my daughter-in-law. If you insist on it, I'll divorce you. Carol is not a good person by any means. She has many boyfriends and lives as a NET without working. She asks Matthew for what she wants and he buys it for her. My father-in-law hates Carol and strongly opposed their relationship. I couldn't understand why my mother-in-law was so fond of Carol. I'm sorry for my wife. You don't have to apologize. Matthew is also Matthew. He doesn't try to protect you even though he's being bad-mouthed by his wife, and he's close to such a woman. As my father-in-law said, Matthew doesn't protect me no matter what my mother-in-law says about me. He even laughs about it sometimes. Grandma, why are you saying such things? If Mom hadn't met Dad, I wouldn't have been born either. Am I an unwanted child for Grandma? That's not true. Instead, Thomas always protects me. He doesn't know how children are born, but he understands that children can only be born when both parents are present. My mother-in-law also loves her grandson who is such an excellent man, so she avoids saying anything in front of Thomas. It's the same with Matthew, so I felt that parents and children are similar after all. I have a promise to drink with Carol tonight, so I'll be late. Oh, I see. Gradually, I began to think that Matthew was unnecessary for us, and I decided to prepare for divorce. Thomas seemed to have noticed something when he saw me like that. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. He said that and cared about me. Just then, I was summoned by my mother-in-law. I really didn't want to go, but I had no choice but to go because she kept calling me so much that it would affect my work if I didn't go. There's no one here to carry heavy things because my husband is not here now. So, please buy flour. Apparently, my father-in-law is on a business trip. To be honest, I thought she should have ordered it online, but it was clear that it would only make things worse if I said so. I was exhausted from carrying heavy things after work. Because of that, while I was heading back to my apartment in a daze, my body was blown away by a car. It seems that a car that ignored the signal hit me. The car that hit you ran away and is currently under investigation. I was told that in the hospital bed. For the time being, I left Thomas to my father and decided to be hospitalized for a while. I broke my arm, so I can't work properly like this. If I worried about such things, my father would scold me for not worrying about my own body first. Thomas, my father, and my father-in-law who came back in a hurry after listening to the story visited me frequently, but Matthew and my mother-in-law never came to visit me. Well, it was within expectations. I'm coming in. Huh? So when Matthew came into the hospital room, I was surprised. Write this down. Saying that, Matthew put a divorce paper in front of me. His name was already written on it and his mother's name was written as a witness. You can't work with that arm. Now that you can't earn money anymore, you're useless. What's that? Besides, Carol is pregnant with my child. My thoughts stopped at those words. Carol is pregnant with Matthew's child? I'm going to marry Carol. So write it down quickly. Saying that, Matthew turned his back on me. As if there was no more use for me. I'll divorce you, such a useless poor one without money. Saying that, Matthew left the divorce paper and left. I stared at the divorce paper on the hospital bed in amazement. Certainly, I had been suspicious for a long time. But I never thought he would really cheat on me. And he impregnated her. So am I useless now that I can't earn money while hospitalized? Mom? When I looked up at the voice of my precious son, Thomas and my father were standing there. My father frowned when he saw what I had in my hand. What are you going to do? It's already decided. I answered straight while looking at my father. My father nodded at me. Now let's counterattack. I asked for early discharge by pushing myself a little too hard and headed to the bank where Matthew works. My father, who drove me there, told me to do my best and dropped me off in front of the bank before going somewhere else. If I enter the bank on foot like this, Matthew will notice me and frown at me. By chance, there were no other customers in front of Matthew. I approached Matthew straight ahead. I'm canceling all employee accounts. Huh? Matthew's expression tells me, what are you talking about? I realized some people were looking at us with annoyance because I didn't get a number tag. Oh, sorry. Do you need to know which company? My name is Margaret Diaz. My father recently left Brown Corporation for me. What? Brown Corporation is an IT company founded by my father and currently employs 1,900 people. It has become quite famous in this area as well as in the industry due to its rapid growth in one generation. So even Matthew was surprised with his eyes wide open. That's a lie, isn't it? You're just trying to get back at me. If you think so, why don't you check? Matthew immediately starts checking something in response to my words. After all, my former surname Diaz is unusual, regardless of how it is read. That's why my father put his surname in the company name. While Matthew was checking, I looked around. Since I mentioned the company name, people around us are watching us. Huh? Is it a lie? It seems that he has confirmed it. Matthew looks up at me fearfully. You really are from that Diaz Corporation. Now, let's show him whose daughter he has angered. Opposite to Matthew, who turns pale, I smile broadly. So, please cancel it quickly. Wait, if you cancel all these accounts at once. By the way, my father is also very angry about this incident. So pack your things and leave the apartment immediately. Huh? Why do I have to leave? Apparently, he forgot that the apartment was purchased by my father and that the name was also under my father's name. Well, otherwise he might still be living there with Carol after bringing her in during my hospitalization. Did you forget? That apartment was purchased by my father, who was the former president. You haven't paid a penny for it and you haven't even paid for your living expenses, have you? You're just supporting your childhood friend and Mistress Carol with everything. I'm even living on my salary alone. Who on earth were you living on? Well. Yet you want to give the apartment to Carol and your mistress because she's pregnant? How much do you think you can make fun of me? I said loudly enough for those around me to hear on purpose. And of course, Matthew panics. After all, he is thought to be serious. That he is cheating on me with his childhood friend without paying any money at home. The eyes of those around us turn cold. Is that true? Huh? The one who spoke to me was the branch manager of this bank. He had been there for a while and had been listening to our conversation. I need to hear more details from you. Our bank employee caused a lot of trouble. Then the branch manager bowed deeply. From there, I was led to the back room and talked with Matthew and the branch manager. There, I told the branch manager about the details again. I'm very sorry for causing trouble. The branch manager sighed deeply and apologized again. And next to him, Matthew looked dissatisfied and lowered his head. I understand how you feel. It's natural not to want to deposit important money in a bank that employs such people. If you're going to cancel it, we'll arrange it. I'm no longer your wife. If you accept one condition, I'll reconsider canceling it. The two raised their faces as if they were expecting those words. It's a good story for the branch manager, but it's the worst for Matthew. If you can fire Matthew there right now, I'd like to continue contracting with this bank. Huh? Of course. He was originally going to be fired. It seems that even the branch manager had intended to do so. And although Matthew looked like he couldn't understand at first, he gradually turned red in the face. And when he tried to say something, there was someone named Margaret's father. Another bank employee came up to us. And I asked him to let them in at the request of me, and Matthew closed his mouth dissatisfied after being thwarted. Wait a minute. Why am I involved? Huh? Mom? Sorry for keeping you waiting. Father firmly grabbed his mother-in-law's arm as he entered. And his mother-in-law, who looked unhappy, found me and glared at me sharply. You're behind this. What are you trying to do? Even though it's just a matter of duty, I'll never forgive you for doing this kind of thing to your mother. Shut up. When his mother-in-law started screaming, Father shouted even more fiercely with an intimidating face. And not only his mother-in-law but also Matthew gave a short scream and fell silent. I know you've been harassing my daughter. You've been calling her for errands and making her carry heavy things. And despite all that, you said that Carol, your mistress, is better than my daughter. And your husband Matthew didn't protect her, he laughed instead. What kind of father lets his child protect herself? Father's angry voice echoes through the bank. Matthew tries to stop him, but he closes his mouth when Father glares at him. Also, I know that Carol was the one who hit Margaret. That woman has already been arrested by the police. Carol did that? Why are you surprised? You're the mastermind. Father shouts again. Meanwhile, Matthew seems to be frozen, not knowing what's going on. You two are the worst. Margaret, let's go home. Yes. I am prompted by my father to leave and head outside. The branch manager follows us and apologizes multiple times. I think I can continue our contract with this branch manager. I hear Matthew and my mother-in-law fighting loudly behind me. It seems like they are blaming each other. Their voices can be heard outside, and customers and other bank employees who were present earlier are whispering to each other that what they heard earlier was true. As planned. Yes, thank you for reacting as expected. Things went according to plan, and we left the bank laughing. As a result, Matthew was fired without incident. Carol was also sentenced to prison thanks to the police's thorough investigation. My mother-in-law was divorced by my father and was found to have instigated Carol to run me over in order to get rid of me. She was also taken away by the police. Welcome back, Mom and Grandpa. Thank you for taking care of Thomas, father-in-law. No problem. It seems like you've settled things nicely. After cornering Matthew and his group at the bank, I went to pick up Thomas from my father-in-law's care. He helped me a lot this time too. He found evidence that my mother-in-law instigated Carol and found a memo outlining their plan to get rid of me and submitted it to the police. I thanked him for everything including this matter, and he smiled and said you did well. After that, I had even busier days than before. I was already busy as an executive as a candidate for the next president, but becoming president this time meant taking on even greater responsibility. And my father started a new company. I've been wanting to start a new company for a long time. He said that he chose to take over the company in order to get back at Matthew. He happily pushed me into becoming president. So both my father and I became busier, so my father-in-law took care of Thomas. Actually, my father-in-law's business trip was forced because my mother-in-law was having an affair with her boss. So he retired early and moved into our apartment room. I'm studying remote work now. I'm thinking of giving him work someday, so I'm sending someone who knows more about it. He seems very capable, so I want him to do his best in our new company. The fathers, who seem to have gotten along well after this incident, often go back and forth between each other's rooms drinking alcohol and talking about various things. On the other hand, Matthew, who was kicked out, returned home alone. He couldn't get a job at any bank because we spread rumors everywhere beforehand, so he ended up in debt paying me compensation money. He works part-time now without sleeping much every day and came crying to us, but we ignore him as a family. It was rumored that he could become a branch manager if things went well, but he has fallen quite low. When I grow up, I want to be like Grandpa. Thomas respects his father even more after this incident. He thinks his father is a hero who saved him from unpleasant things from Matthew and his mother-in-law. Then will you take over after Grandpa? Yes. My father is delighted with Thomas's willingness to take over after him. I decided to work harder than ever before so as not to lose to such a father. After a while, both my company and my father's company settled down quite a bit. Oh, welcome back, Mom. Good job. Even though I'm exhausted when I come back home, my father-in-law has prepared dinner for me. I helped today too. Really? Good job, Thomas. I'm looking forward to dinner. As I praise Thomas with a smile, my father comes home later. Then the four of us sit around the table and have dinner while chatting. In contrast to us, Matthew and his group have fallen apart. Matthew ended up in debt with loan sharks and was eventually rumored to have been put on a ship. Matthew's family sold their house to repay the debt, and my mother-in-law, who lost her home, was seen under a bridge by an acquaintance. By the way, Carol's parents sent an apology letter. They're good people, so I want you to read it. If you say so, father-in-law. According to Carol's parents' letter, she gave birth in prison. They took the child and moved far away after Carol was released so that she wouldn't have to rely on them. The letter also contained a deep apology to me. Carol's parents seem like very nice people. I hope their child grows up like their grandparents rather than their parents. However, Carol has lost her home with this. I want her to reconsider her sins in solitude. After more than 10 years, we grew up without being tormented by Matthew's existence. Did we even have a father? That's the attitude we have. He seems to remember us, but has erased our existence as irrelevant to him. We did the same thing, and their existence had been completely forgotten. I still want to take over Grandpa's company. If you've thought about it properly and made a decision, I won't object. Thomas chose to take over his father's company. The company he started at that time was a toy company. Starting as an ordinary employee there, Thomas is highly valued because he comes up with ideas one after another. This might make it easier for Thomas to take over the company. Father laughed like that too. He said he would live in the countryside after entrusting the company to Thomas. I'm also looking for a successor and teaching them how to work hard. If he grows up enough, I might retire early and start a new path. While thinking about such things, I work hard as president today too.